Yo, what's up guys, Dale Boy here. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash the subscribe button, hit the like, all of that good stuff. This video is a non-boxing video, so if you're not into that content, then feel free to click away now. But something I've been thinking about quite regularly over the past few days with what's been going on in the world in recent times, and that is the victimhood mentality that is sweeping the Western world. When you go on social media, you see every Tom, Dick and Harry playing victim, acting like they are suppressed under the system. And, when I look at this, to me a lot of it stinks of a fetish. It feels like a lot of people enjoy being in that mindset. If you go on a website like Twitter, you see people from literally every demographic point out why they are a victim in today's society, whether it be relating to gender, sexuality, race, poverty, whatever it may be. We see multiple people online, point out that they're somehow a victim in today's society in some which way. And for me, it almost looks like a competition of who can score the most oppression points and who's worst off. And it looks like people actually take pride in their perceived victimhood. People call it the oppression Olympics, and I think that really is an apt description of this type of behaviour. To me, it looks like a lot of people enjoy painting themselves out to be the victim. Whether they actually believe it or not, I don't know. I'm sure most of them do. But part of these people enjoy the victimhood mindset, even if it is on a subconscious level. But to me, from an outsider looking in, it looks like a lot of these people enjoy that sort of mindset. It's almost like a competition, like I said, people online comparing how bad they've got it in today's society. And it's just really embarrassing to look at. It really is. Where it stems from, I've got no idea. I've got a few good guesses. I made a video a few days ago about the public figures being labelled as heroes in today's society. And a lot of these public figures, these celebrities who are being labelled as heroes and are being labelled as role models, are degenerates. Like I said, people like Bruce Jenner, for example. That was my main example in the video. But, someone like that is being praised for essentially being a dysfunctional degenerate. That's what he is. Let's be real about it. And when you've got people looking up to the likes of Bruce Jenner, the Kardashians, and people like that, then it's no wonder that a lot of people are separated from reality. So the public figures now who are being labelled as heroes, in my opinion, they're poisonous and they're toxic and they are not good role models at all. And we also have, the breakup of a nuclear family in today's society. We have, a lot of single mother families, for example, where a single mother will be raising their children. And while that can work, obviously there are mothers out there who are great even when they're alone and they can raise some great kids. But statistically, a child from a single mother family is more likely to turn out like a mess. Let's be honest about it. Statistically, that is true. And I think a big part of today's degenerate culture is because of that, the breakup of a nuclear family. A lot of children out there, especially boys, they don't have a male role model in their lives. And to a lot of boys, that is going to be very detrimental. It's just that simple. If there's no male role model in your life that is there for you and cares for you, then how are you going to grow up to be a man? You're basically handicapped if you don't have a male role model in your life. And it's that simple. And, these sort of scenarios are again part of a reason why we have this victimhood culture these days. Kids are just not raised right. A lot of people are soft, especially in my generation, the millennials. A lot of these people are very soft, very entitled. They expect everything to be handed to them without working for it. They just expect everything to be handed to them on a plate. Is that because of, a lack of guidance in their lives from the people out there who are supposed to be nurturing them and caring for them? Is that because of the media a lot of people are consuming nowadays, especially young people? We've got people out there who become famous overnight for basically being a degenerate. And, what sort of message does that send to young children? What does it say to a young kid when a nobody with no talent can become a somebody overnight, basically for being a degenerate? What does that say to the kid? Well, an impressionable child will think, well, I don't have to work hard, I can act like a dick, I can act like a fool, and eventually things are just going to fall in my lap and everything's going to be hunky-dory. Well, life doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. You know, a lot of people out there these days don't have any discipline, they don't have any mental fortitude, and they don't have the ability to be stoic. You know, everything that goes wrong in their lives, it's always somebody else's fault. They never take responsibility for things that go wrong. Obviously in life there are circumstances when things are out of our control, but that happens to everybody. You just got to knuckle down and get on with it. You know, you can't make excuses for everything that goes wrong in your life. You need to learn from these mistakes. You need to learn from your hardships to get better. You know, you don't take those hardships and say, well, I've been hard done by, give me free stuff, give me free money, give me free this, give me free that. You know, the world doesn't work like that. And I think that's why now you're seeing a rise in like socialist politics and basically communist politics. A lot of people are very entitled, they don't want to work, they don't want to bust their balls, and they expect things to be handed to them. And, you know, communist ideologies are very appealing to somebody with a victimhood mentality or a victimhood complex. You know, essentially, they don't have to look after themselves, they'll be sorted out by the state, and that's that. There's no doubt in my mind that the correlation between the rise in socialist ideologies and the rise in victimhood culture has happened simultaneously. There's no surprise to me in that, none at all. One more thing actually I wanted to touch on when I was talking about the breakup of the nuclear family. There's actually a war on the nuclear family in mainstream media. I mean, there's been shows in the UK, you know, like morning talk shows, where they've discussed stay-at-home wives, when the man has a job where he can pay for his wife, he can pay for his children, he can work, and the woman stays at home and looks after the kids, looks after the house, etc. And they was doing a talk show on this, and there were so many people out there who were criticising the stay-at-home mum for, you know, staying indoors, looking after her child, and not getting out there, getting a career. They were criticising this woman for her choice. I forget which show it was. I think it might have been Steve Wright, a guy called Steve Wright, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but I remember the topic. And so many people were criticising this woman. They were shaming her for having the audacity for being there for her children, looking after them, raising them without a need of a babysitter. You know, they were shaming this woman for her choice. You know? It's sick. It really is sick. If somebody is in a position where they can do that, and the wife is happy to, you know, stay at home and look after the children, more power to them. That's what I say. But, you know, people out there were acting like this is some type of archaic, you know, and obsolete way of living now, when that's not the case. It's not the case at all. You know, that's how it was back in the day. And for a lot of people, if they could get in that position, that would work for a lot of people. Obviously, most people can't do that because of money. But, you know, this family could. And they were shamed for it. When I saw this, I was absolutely disgusted. I was seething. And yet these same people who criticised this lady for being a mother more than likely praise gay couples adopting children because it's so progressive. It's disgusting, man. It really is. It really is. You know, I don't know what to say. There are elements of Western culture that just disgust me. There are elements of Western culture that just makes me fucking angry. I've got to tell you the truth. And this whole victimhood mentality that's going around these days is one of them, to be honest. Just, you know, people who can't take personal responsibility for their own actions, people who have always got excuses for why they're fucking up, just really irritates me. And the worst thing about it is the celebrities who peddle these narratives, multimillionaire celebrities peddling narratives, you know, about race relations, sexuality, gender, etc. And all of these people, right, who complain about these issues, where do they live? Gated communities in predominantly white areas. Yet these guys are complaining about diversity and things like that. Well, look at where they live, man. Hypocrites. Absolute hypocrites. Disgusting. And ironically, a lot of these people are sponsored by companies who have terrible track records in regards to human rights and labour laws. You know, for example, Anthony Joshua, he came out, I think it was a couple of days ago, and he was at a Black Lives Matter protest. That's his prerogative, he can do what he wants. But, you know, this guy, he's preaching about social justice, yet he's sponsored by Hugo Boss, a company in which has used sweatshops. You know, like in India, for example, there's a story a few years ago, I think a couple of years ago, about Hugo Boss using sweatshops in India where the workers are treated appallingly. They get paid next to nothing. Yet here this guy is lecturing people about social justice. I mean, all of these people, man, for the most part, are fucking hypocrites. And they peddle this narrative about victimhood culture. I'm sick to death of it, man. I'm sick to death of it. I don't subscribe to that narrative, but one thing I will say, if there was a celebrity out there who they pumped this narrative out, but they lived by their own rules, while I wouldn't agree with them, I would at least respect them for actually living by their own principles. But when you've got guys out here, you know, preaching about diversity and living in multi-million-pound white areas, or preaching about social justice, and they're sponsored by companies who have broken labour laws, you're full of shit. Can we just be honest? You're full of fucking shit. Hypocrites, man. Hypocrites. You know, this social justice thing, whatever area you fall into, you know, a lot of this really is just a hustle. Not only is this victimhood mentality a fetish for some people, it's a hustle for others. It's just a complete cesspool, as far as I'm concerned. And that's really all I've got to say on this issue, or this matter. And yeah, that's really it. If you guys have any opinions, feel free to share below. I'll be intrigued to hear what you guys have to say on this topic. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Smash the like, hit the subscribe button. Anyone disagrees, fair enough. Just be respectful with it. You know, you've got your opinion, I've got mine. It's that simple. Peace.